fight fans. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting Network alternative commentary for Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley II. Leave no doubt. I am joined by one of our members from the Canadian office. Ladies and gentlemen, back again, Daniel Lasby. How do you do, sir?
Holding it up. 1:30 in the morning, loving life.
You are the man when it comes through for these pay-per-views. I know it's a big ask because they start at like dark early in the morning where you live.
It's all good. I just tuck Chris Bailey into bed, and then I get to work. That's all.
All right. So this is a rematch, and it was made on short notice because this was supposed to be Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury ended up pulling out with an injury. Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 1. It took place back in August. We covered that for W2M Net and the Radulich Broadcasting Network. I think that was myself and Robert Winfrey who did that. Against his will, I'm sure. So you saw that fight. You saw it went to a split decision, which Robert Winfrey kind of laughed at. And so here we are again, and this is why it's leave no doubt. No split decisions this time. No decisions this time. One man must rise. One man must fall. Having seen that fight, how do you think this one's going to go?
I mean, if I'm Jake Paul, I got to be a little bit worried. Tyron Woodley, this will be his second fight ever, and he held his own in a fight where really Jake Paul, with its limited experience, but more experience, should have put him to bed and didn't. So, I mean, I don't want to say Jake Paul is going to win. Jake Paul does have some nice combos. His footwork's getting better. His punching's getting better. But my name says it all. I would love for it to be please KO Jake Paul.
Yeah, I think part of what I remember about that fight was Tyron Woodley was a little tentative. I think, neither guy was quite sure what the other one was going to bring to the table. Tyron Woodley, former welterweight champion, long storied MMA career, but boxing is a different animal. And well, yes, Tyron Woodley can absolutely take a punch, and he can certainly has dropped a few people in his time. Jake Paul is kind of an anomaly. He doesn't have a lot of fights on his record. He's 4-0 with 3 KOs. He fought, aside from Tyron Woodley, he fought the one guy on DAZN whose name some rapper whose name I cannot remember. I think I saw that fight because I called whatever was the main. I think that was an Boo Boo Andre fight in Miami. That was January 30th of 2020. And then he KO'd Nate Robinson in the second round, and then he fought Ben Askren, and that was over before it even began. And now we're here at Tyron Woodley. That was one of the big attractions to watching the Tommy Fury fight was, finally he's going to get some real boxing competition. But nope, not yet, at least. Hopefully soon.
I mean, you tell me what you think, but I think if Jake Paul doesn't knock him out in this match, it brings a lot of those doubts back. Like if Jake Paul is to transition and be what he thinks he is, what he talks a lot of smack about being a professional boxer, he got to put Tyron Woodley down. No, and if he doesn't,
he absolutely has to finish Tyron Woodley.
That's some big questions, man. That would be back-to-back matches where leave no doubt. You're leaving an awful lot of doubt. And
if you look at a lot of the early careers of fighters, it's up to a lot of early knockouts.
Because there's not a lot of tape of you. Other people don't have the advantage of being able to go back and watch and say, okay, he does this 3-ring combo, he does an inside uppercut, and he brings a right hook, and that puts people out.
Right. So here's the thing. I understand he's a celebrity attraction boxer, but at some point you got to start putting together some finishes. You have to put together a series of finishes. You can ride the celebrity boxer thing a little while longer, but he's said over and over again, he wants to be taken seriously as a boxer. He wants to fight real competition. I joked with you earlier offline that after watching the Better Beef fight last night and covering it for the site, that was again myself and Robert Winfrey. We're like, I hope he gets made mandatory for one of Better Beef's belts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous, but I would love to see Better Beef just assault him around the ring for a round.
he got a Don King level of like smack talk and celebrity antics at this point.
Like, and promotion.
Yes,
he is the great white hype.
Sure, Serrano just like basically told everyone that she has no career without him, even though she's got 42 wins under her belt.
It tells you a lot about the world of boxing.
Come on. I died a little inside.
It's a little frustrating. But no, look, here's the thing. I give Jake Paul all the credit in the world. You know, he went out there, he became what every elementary school kid wants to be right now, which is a social media influencer of sorts. And, Robert Winfrey brought this up in a previous show that we did. You know, they work hard. They go out there, they shoot for like 12 to 16 hours, they edit, they post, and they have a high level of high volume of content. And he's turned that around and, trained as a boxer, tried to take it seriously, and put himself out there. So, it's about getting to the next step at this point.
I appreciate that. And listen, his own brother, Loken, said earlier today, he's a chubby little bunny that somehow found abs. So, I mean, I think they're working hard. I think he's putting the hours in the gym. I mean, you can go back and watch his combo work from the first Woodley fight. Like, he definitely has put the work into figuring out what the moves are, figuring out what the footwork looks like. Like he's getting the reps in. He's getting that 10,000 hours. For me, it's the mouth. Like, if you're going to run your mouth like you're Mike Tyson, you got to show up like Mike Tyson.
Yep. So for friends that are joining us on social media, I'm actually going live to Instagram. Somebody made the suggestion, like, hey, you should go live on Instagram. I'm like, sure. I don't have much to show you, but if you would like that, I can do that. I've had a few people say, are you going to show the fight? Let me explain how broadcasting rights work. No, I know people do that. That's fine. Put your pirate hat on, sail the high seas. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. God, good luck and God bless and safe sailing. I am not getting myself kicked off of every social media thing I have because I'm stealing a broadcast and rebroadcasting it. No,
if you need, I'll wear an eye patch for the next one.
Yar. So no, look, we're here to call the fight. We're here to have fun, share thoughts, give analysis as best we can. But if you're looking for a live stream of the fight, put your sailor hats on, put your pirate hats on, and sail the high seas. That's all I can tell you. All right, so back to this. I do want to say, if you are following us and you are interested in what we're saying and you're wanting to check out the fight, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube or Twitch or one of the Facebook channels that we're going live to. If you're following us on Twitter, obviously you can't do that. But if you leave a comment on the tweet that this is now on, I'll find it later and I'll reply back to you. Very active on social media, so if people interact with me, I will interact with you back. Anyway, so back to this, and if you are, like I said, if you are watching, we greatly appreciate it. Last night, myself and Robert Winfrey did the Better Be fight, like I said. Last weekend, Pat and I did the Lomachenko fight. We do these at least once a weekend, so check them out if you have the opportunity, if you like what you're seeing tonight. As we see Jake Paul and what looks to be a transformer.
He's also definitely smack talking Tommy Fury on his little jersey there.
Oh my God, that t-shirt, I showed that to my wife. The t-shirt of "This Could Have Been You, Tommy," I think it was at the weigh-ins, cracked me up.
Come on. I mean, listen, they know how to hype. They definitely got the hype down. The Logan boys know how to talk a game.
Okay. We've all seen like the last 50 to 60 years of professional wrestling. People get it. that's how you make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
So as far as analysis goes, yeah, I think, Jake Paul's felt Tyron Woodley's power. It was only a few months ago. I think he comes into this a little bit more confident and a little bit more motivated to try to finish this fight. I don't think Jake Paul's gonna, if Tyron Woodley gives him the opportunity to, is gonna let this go to a decision. That's my prediction.
I think you can't. I think you got to put it away.
Absolutely. For those of you here on social media, we'd love to hear what you think. Jake Paul by KO, Tyron Woodley by KO. Does this go to a decision again? Watch this go to a draw this time.
No, don't. You said that out loud, man.
Into the universe.
Oh my God. It's going to go to a draw, and then his brother's going to get in the ring and fight the ring post.
Oh, that's what I wanted to do. Was it you or was it somebody else who was just like, because I feel like a few people now have approached me, and they know I'm a big boxing fan, have approached me about a Logan Paul Mike Tyson fight.
Oh,
That's
I'm all in.
apparently
I'm all in on that. I want to see a
that
50+ Mike Tyson punch him right in the mouth.
that seems to be the buzz right now. There's, it's so funny. Between last weekend and this weekend, there was like 1,000 fights. So I have the volume down so that I can focus on talking to Daniel, or when I do this with other people, talking to them. So we don't keep the volume up until a decision is rendered when we have to hear the scorecards. But somebody just made a mention on Twitch, and thank you for following us, that Jake Paul is walking out to YMCA. Young men. Da, 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 da. I said young men. That's fantastic.
He hurts me on the inside, man. There are YouTubers who are crazy, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You crazy. Listen, I will listen to Joe Rogan rant about how cicadas are going to conquer the universe for 3 hours and be like, you're on a lot of drugs, man, but okay, this is interesting.
Does he talk about how the cicadas are going to kick each other in the nuts and need to wear better cups?
Oh, almost definitely. And how if they were doing steroids, they'd be in better shape. But
that's
come
awesome.
on.
I'll tell you, my favorite, I was telling somebody this today. I stole Ben Henderson's phrase. I don't know if you remember this or how much MMA you've watched over the years. When Ben Henderson won the lightweight title, he's very religious. Joe Rogan, notorious atheist. And Ben Henderson gets in wins the title. Joe Rogan gets in the cage to interview him. And, he asks him a question like, how do you feel winning the title or whatever? And Ben Henderson goes, anything is possible through Christ. And says it loudly and proudly.
While looking and making permanent eye contact.
It's so funny because Joe Rogan looked like if he could have launched himself into space, he would have.
He would have been more comfortable. He would have been like, all right, and this is the moment where I learned to levitate.
Yes, Joe Rogan's puff of smoke continued that interview. Well, because he was gone. So I'm very now much fond of saying all things are possible through Christ when people ask me a question.
I mean,
hey, are these people going to get released today? All things are possible through Christ. Anyway, all of that to say that
the referee looks like he would rather be scooping melted ice cream off the ground than reffing this match.
So real quick, before we get underway here, this Showtime card has been interesting to say the least. I was watching this at the same time as watching the DAZN card, which was interesting. It's so funny because actually both women's fights were on at the same time. But earlier in the evening, we started off with Liam Paro versus Yomar Alamo, and that went to a split decision. Deron Williams took on Frank Gore. That was a mess.
They might as well just hit each other with chairs and cricket bats.
That was ridiculous, that fight. That was a split decision and went to 4 rounds. It was an exhibition, and it certainly was an exhibition of what no one can truly say. And then in the only professional boxing match of the evening, you had Amanda Serrano defeating Miriam Gutierrez by unanimous decision in over 10 rounds. And that brought us to the main event tonight.
Can I just say, I felt like Miriam Gutierrez had a walker before she got to the ring. She was so slow. Mm-hmm. I felt so bad for her. Like, of all the matches I don't want to see stopped, that was the first match I was like, okay, can the corner throw it or can the ref stop it? Like, anyone? No, nobody? Okay, they're just going to, okay, she's just going to keep getting punched in the face. Great.
Yeah. So like I said, I was watching the Zurdo Ramirez fight, like literally it looked like it was about to end right as this was starting. And so somebody was asking me, like, are you going to go on Instagram? And I'm like, I just want to watch this fight. Like I almost, normally with these Showtime broadcasts, they kill so much time and they run so many packages, and then they got to advertise Dexter and all kinds of nonsense. So as we get final instructions here from the referee, so usually if I have another fight going on, there's like plenty of time to switch between them. Real quick, I don't know if you caught earlier today on DAZN the Chisora Parker fight. Really, really good brawl, though. I'm pretty sure Chisora says he's not done, but he looked done in that ring tonight. It was a good fight, and he went out a warrior, but it was rough to watch.
Yeah, that's too bad when you get to that point and you're kind of you're tapped and you probably should go out. It's tough. That's tough.
All right, round 1. Here we go. Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul. 8 rounds in the cruiserweight division. Tyron Woodley starting off, putting that jab out there. Unlike the fight I saw last night, at least they're both circling around the center of the ring and not going immediately into the ropes.
Yeah, maybe Woodley get some points out of the gate here and not be so tentative.
They're both a little flat on their feet. Jake Paul comes in with a jab.
I mean, that's not the footwork and the combinations that he was showing off. Get in there, man.
Tyron Woodley sort of flitting in, flitting out at this point.
I mean, I almost feel like Woodley's maybe just looking for that big hit. Maybe he's like, that's what I got.
I'm getting the sense he's waiting for an opening to deliver a big kibosh.
Yep.
Which I don't think is a great idea. Put some work in.
Yeah, wear him down a bit. I mean, credit where credit is due. Jake Paul can shake off a hit if he has to. He's taking a couple of shots now. So if you're just waiting for the bomb, that's risky.
So we saw some clinch fighting there from Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, and I think Jake Paul got the better of him. Jake Paul a little bit more active now than Tyron Woodley has been in the last 30 seconds or so. We're halfway through the round. They are clinched in the corner, and we have pitter-patter shots from Tyron Woodley.
Come on, man.
Jake Paul took the center of the ring really quickly. Jake Paul's going to go after Tyron Woodley, and Tyron Woodley keeps clinching up. I have a sneaky suspicion he's trying to wear down Jake Paul early here with clinches and some infighting.
You got to think that Jake Paul's worked on his conditioning, though. He's not going to get gassed the same way he did that first match, or at least you got to think he's at least thought about that.
It doesn't look like Tyron Woodley really wants to go punch for punch with this guy, which is probably smart.
And that's smart. I mean, again, like we talked about, like he's put some of the work in. Jake Paul can deliver some big combos. He can deliver some big shots.
Both of them just smacking each other upside the head while in the clinch.
This is, I'm pretty sure, what a grade 4 fight looks like.
All right, if you're joining us here on social media, we thank you. Tell us what you think of the fight as the fight progresses here with the last 30 seconds of round 1.
Oh, come on.
It's funny. I've seen a lot of high-level boxing in the last couple of weeks. This ain't it.
No.
And I'm usually not so down on Jake Paul. There's a debate to be had about what he does for boxing. There's certainly on the pro side, he brings people who don't normally watch boxing to boxing, and those people buy tickets and T-shirts and whatnot. And so, in that sense, he's good for it because the point is to sell tickets and.
Yeah, get some face time, get some interest back in a sport that has been losing some ground.
I'll tell people I work with that I watch boxing, and they're like, "Oh, that's still around." Yes, and then 5 minutes later, it's like, "Oh, is Mike Tyson still fighting?" Yikes! That's what we were talking about before. Mike Tyson, Logan Paul. While we're waiting for the next round to begin, if that fight gets made, I guarantee you that's going to end up being like a super pay-per-view.
Oh my God! Write the checks now. I'll sign the check.
It'll be a mess, and it may be over in round 1, but people will pay to see that clown fiesta.
Oh yeah, he's over 50 years old, man.
Did you see him against Roy Jones Jr.?
Yes, he looked great.
Yeah, Chris Bailey and I called that fight because I couldn't get any actual boxing fans to call that one with me.
Roy Jones Jr. looked like, this is going to be a walk in the park. I'm a multi-level champion, and Mike Tyson is old and has a face tattoo. And then he was like, and a cement mixer for hands. That's, oh God.
Round 2 here as we begin, and Jake Paul sort of paintbrushes Tyron Woodley to start things off. Kind of picking up right where things were in round 1. Jake Paul, big swing and a miss there.
He almost looks like
he's starting to look for big punches now.
He's looking for big punches, which is, I think, again, a mistake. He's got some of those combos. He leaves himself open a little bit, but if you're going to go big punch for big punch, again, super dangerous. Like, neither one of you are going to have a one-shot win here. I can't imagine.
Not this early on, I think. And so the one thing I like from Tyron Woodley in this fight so far is that he is clinching up with Jake Paul a lot, because I think Jake Paul, having not a tremendous amount of experience in the ring, is going to get frustrated by that and
He gets
open himself up to
frustrated, and
possibly mistakes.
I agree. And Woodley looks like he's chirping him a little bit when he comes inside.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen in some of those matches where Jake gets wild eyes, starts sticking his tongue out, he's licking his gloves. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good plan. You got 8 rounds to get him to do something dumb. It's a good idea. I still think Woodley's got to get a few more points, though. He's got to get a couple of body shots, a couple of taps.
I think percentage-wise, they just showed that Paul has landed a slightly higher percentage than Woodley on the Showtime stats.
I would agree with that, and I would agree that Jake's owned the center of the ring more.
Mm-hmm, for sure. I mean, Tyron Woodley not committing to a lot of attacks. I mean, the one thing that he's done that would give him any kind of substantial edge would be he keeps clinching with Jake Paul.
The clinches are good, but I mean, the problem with the last match that he lost out on is he didn't get those points. He needs some of those points. If he's not going to knock him out, get the points and try to get the decision.
He can get away with this for another round or two, but after that, if he doesn't pick up the pace and start throwing volume, he's going to lose again on points.
I'm a little surprised that it doesn't appear like Tyron's cover has changed as much. He's still pretty hands out. He's still very MMA.
Mm-hmm. Jake Paul moves in, starts to throw a combination, and we clinch, rinse, repeat.
Oh my gosh.
This is one of those things that draws that draws a lot of casual fans, which is, not a bad thing. The idea is to sell as many tickets as you can. But if you're a casual fan, this is the problem I had with the people who saw the Pacquiao Mayweather fight is, casual fans want a very specific kind of fight, and this ain't it, and neither was Pacquiao Mayweather for that matter. Friend on Twitter who is hanging out with us makes a good point here that Woodley has always fought like this. It's true, but he, I talked about this in the last fight. Robert Winfrey and I have discussed it. Woodley has either knocked someone's head off, or with his wrestling, he's controlled them for the length and birth of the fight. In MMA. So it's hard because, like you said, I get what you're if Woodley would pin Paul against the cage, he would. You're not wrong, sir. That's not true. Wrong.
The corners are definitely considering breaking out the baby oil.
Yeah, Woodley. Well, we made a joke last night about on the Better Be fight that you're in trouble when somebody shoots a double leg in a boxing match. I'm looking for that from Woodley here to shoot the double leg on Jake Paul. As we begin round 3 here. Jake Paul moves in again. All right, we're at Robert Winfrey hanging out with us on Twitch, and he's got it 2-0 Paul after 2.
I agree.
And yeah, I think there's no question about that.
I agree. There's not enough that Tyron Woodley's doing that's owning the space and showing that he's controlling the match. I mean, listen, Jake is not super exciting right now either, but although more kind of like side shots, better for Woodley as far as the points. I got to think his corner has said you're going to lose in a decision if you don't start getting something in there.
Robert Winfrey, who only enjoys the finest fruit, rooting in the garbage with us tonight, has the following to say: if anyone who bought Woodley's, I'm going to let my hands go this timeline. I've got beachfront property in Omaha to sell you. Thank you, Robert. And Robert makes a good point. In the lead up to this fight and the promotion, Woodley's like, buy a ticket. I'm gonna let my hands go. I'm gonna knock Jake's head off. And as has been pointed out, as we've talked about a number of times now, Tyron Woodley tends to be a bit tentative.
Yeah, I feel like he looks exactly the same as he did in the first match. He looks like he's waiting for that perfect moment. He's not kind of following up on those shots. To your point, he's clinching better, which is good, but he got to get in there, man. He got to mix it up. He got to make Jake make a mistake or lose the match.
Jake doing a little bit of circling now. I'm wondering if we're going to... Yeah, Tyrone's starting to stalk a bit. I don't love anything about Tyron Woodley's stance or his footwork. It's very plodding. I think his stance is too wide. He kind of looks like a cowboy with, saddle sore.
What's interesting is he's on the verge of like a Muay Thai stance. All you got to do is raid that front leg and he can go kickboxing here.
I would not be surprised if that's where this goes.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if between the next round here, Jake Paul tears off his shorts and has another pair of shorts underneath.
So we had a comment here on Twitch, and it's something I've been thinking about too, because it looks like Jake's cut. Yeah, Jake's
up in the high,
right above the right eye there. He's got a nice little gash. Well, hopefully we'll get a close-up view of it during the next break.
Oh yeah, he's bleeding good.
Okay. According to Robert Winfrey, forehead, ref said an accidental elbow.
Okay.
We'll see if it gives him trouble. I talked about that last night with the Better Be fight. That he had a pretty significant gash between the eyes in the middle of the forehead. And I said, if they can't get it closed, and if Marcus Brown starts to target it, that's going to be a lot of blood in the eyes for the length and birth of that fight. Ended up not happening, but for a little while there, it seemed a little splatterhouse. Robert Winfrey weighing in here says Paul got predictable with his jab, and Woodley found a few rights.
I mean, so here's what I will definitely say about the way that Paul likes to run that 1-2-3 combo. Mm-hmm. He leaves that whole interior chain and his face wide open.
Yeah.
So if Woodley can come up the middle, like there's a lot of free real estate there as soon as Jake starts throwing that 1-2.
We'll see how well his well his corner knocks the cameraman around. We'll see how well they close that cut there if it continues to give him trouble in this next round. Round 4. Here we go on Showtime pay-per-view.
I feel like that round was a little bit closer, but I still think Jake's got 3-0.
I don't like to see. So Jake Paul overextended on one of those punches as Woodley backed up, and he has got to keep his structure. He's got to keep his stance. He can't if he overcommits, if he goes off balance. Tyron Woodley, he's a veteran. He'll find a way in, and that could be Jake Paul's undoing. Jake Paul cannot afford to lose his composure.
Jake looking like he's trying to bring up the pace a little bit. I don't know that he's got it in him, but he slows right back
Tyron
down.
Woodley comes skating forward. More clinch fighting from Tyron Woodley.
You're right in the whole stalking system, though. Like Tyron just looks like he's stalking, which is all well and good if you can put a man down, but like it's trouble if you don't.
Wonder if Tyron Woodley's feeling a little bit loose and a little more comfortable now as we proceed here.
This would be is this the first time Jake Paul got cut? I think so, right?
Maybe. Probably that's probably true.
He like 2 of those knockouts were quick, so
yeah.
This got to be the first time that somebody's kind of caused some.
Well, somebody made a comment about that. One of our friends here in the chat, seeing his own blood might actually change things here. It could change things for the worse. He could start to throw more volume, but leave himself more open, and Tyron Woodley knocks his head off.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, body slam! Woo!
Okay. Dab it off on your bingo card. If you had body slam on your bingo card, that is a point.
Well done. He didn't get up for it though. He didn't get any height on that body slam.
No, that was
sort of a Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant hip toss.
Questionable technique.
We love the circus. Yeah. Oh, I do not look like the look in Jake Paul's eyes. He thought this was going to be an easier.
He definitely did.
It has been.
He thought he won the last match. He sold himself a good game that he won it handily, but he didn't.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's in a mixer. I mean, like we talked off the top though, like we're closing at round 4. It doesn't look like we're anywhere near a knockout.
No.
Questionable even for a knockdown.
Looks like Jake Paul took a deep breath there.
Yeah.
And that might be the whole game plan. Robert Winfrey weighing in from the Peanut Gallery. Paul's flurries are surprisingly effective as both men begin gassing out halfway through the fight. And that's what we were just talking about. I noticed it more with Jake Paul. He's credit to Tyron Woodley. If the game plan was weather the storm of the first few rounds, give away a few if you can, but put your body weight on him, slam him to the ground, jackhammer style. Tyron Woodley working out with Goldberg in the lead up to this match.
Good God.
The boxing fans gonna be like, please stop with the wrestling jokes.
How much lighter do you think Tommy Fury's broken rib feels right now? Like he's like, oh yeah, I feel fantastic. Let's fight right now.
Tommy Fury is asking if he can tag in.
Yeah. That's what you really need from a wrestling piece. What you need is middle of the 7th round, Tommy Fury's music hits and he just stands at the top of the ramp being like,
and then Bobby Heenan says, but whose side is he on? Friend here, Jay Roy says, Paul keeps dropping his head. Woodley might want to try to time an uppercut.
Yeah, man. I agree. Come up the middle.
Especially with all the clinch fighting that he's doing. There was a lot of that in a previous fight from this weekend where the uppercuts were really working. I think it was the Better Beef fight.
He got a little bit of, it looks like Paul's got a little swelling under his left eye too.
Robert Winfrey giving that last round to Tyron Woodley, and I would agree.
I would agree as well.
So Steve Farhood's card has the first 2 rounds and the 4th to Jake Paul, and the 3rd round to Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley not willing to stay in the phone booth with Jake Paul. So it was a little frustrating to watch.
That's interesting because that's where he should be able to get some good chances.
Right. I think, Tyron Woodley has a halfway decent guard. I would like to see him stay in the pocket a little bit longer.
Man, Jake trying to move his feet, but he looks tired.
Robert Winfrey, who is not a drinker, suggesting a drinking game. Take a shot each time you say Tyron Woodley is unwilling. Thank you, Robert. And you can hear more of Robert's excellent commentary on our Better Beef fight, on our Tank Davis, Isaac Cruz fight that we did. Robert Winfrey always brilliant with the combat fighting analysis.
I feel like that should be my next denial. If I'm at a bar and somebody asks me out, I should say Tyron Woodley is unwilling.
Just walk away.
Just walk away.
I step it right out. Oh, nice headlock there from Tyron Woodley. I know, Robert. That's part of what you do, but call it as I see it. They've only got a couple more rounds here. This is not a full 10-round fight. We're almost done here.
Dude, Serrano threw more punches into Gutierrez's face in the first round of the ladies match than this has had in the whole thing.
Oh, you should have seen the fight on DAZN, Zerda versus Ramirez. Those two guys were going roadhouse in there.
Gosh.
All right. Looks like they were going for a suplex.
I mean, why not?
If you bought a ticket in Tampa Bay tonight to come see this fight, I don't know if you're going to go home happy.
There's a lovely lady in the first row in a silver sparkly dress who seems very dismayed by this whole match. I really hope it's his mom. Robert
Winfrey with statistical analysis. Serrano threw more punches in 3 2-minute rounds than Woodley has in his last 5 fights between
100% agree. I agree.
So if you're hanging out with us for the first time, you're like, hey, what else have you guys done? I've been kind of rattling them off throughout the fight here. Like I said, we did the Better BF fight last night. Better Beef, rather. We did the Lomachenko fight the weekend before on the 106 fights in one day deal that was last weekend. We did Tank Davis before that. Before that was Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos. That was myself and Robert Winfrey. And then, hey, you, Dan Lasby, you hung out with me and did the Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter pay-per-view.
I did.
You did.
We like different sides of that match, but you came out on top.
And then Chris Bailey helping me out to get this whole 2 months of fight started came on the Canelo Alvarez Caleb Plant fight. So that's all in the archive on w2mnet.com, our website, our blog, where all of our fights and all of our podcasts are posted. Round 6. And, if Tyron Woodley is not, quote unquote, willing, Jake Paul has to take advantage now. I mean, he's won more fights than he's won more rounds than Tyron Woodley has. So, theoretically, if he drags this thing out to a decision, he'll win it on points. But if he's looking right now, if you're his team and you're seeing him struggle this much with Tyron Woodley, even in a win, he's lost whatever allure he had for a bigger name fight. Maybe he still gets the Tommy Fury fight when this is done, but if you're anybody else who's a real boxer, do you take a Jake Paul in this condition?
That's a massacre.
Steve Farhood giving that last round to Tyron Woodley.
I mean, Tyrone looks like he got a lot more gas in the tank than Jake does right now.
Tommy Fury is an absolutely a viable option, but as we were talking about this at the top of the podcast, Jake Paul has designs on higher level competition, and he's not showing he could handle it at this point.
No, you look today. He looks like a celebrity YouTuber who likes to box sometimes.
Yeah, he isn't windmilling, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like that claymation.
I've seen some celebrity boxing matches. We're not that level yet, but
yeah, we're not full Marilyn Manson, but we're not great.
Oh, good hook there from Tyron Woodley. Robert Winfrey gets mad at me when I don't put his comments up. So he says 100% Jake's a decent boxer for a celebrity, but as a boxer, he's a celebrity.
Agreed.
But
as a boxer.
Oh, boom! Good night, Irene. Right hook. Finds the target, and Tyron Woodley face plants. Good grief, ladies and gentlemen. Spectacular finish for said celebrity boxer Jake Paul.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he held it on. He held it on. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he dropped like that.
I'm not. I've seen Tyron Woodley fight before. But let's not kid ourselves.
But that was like some glass job business right there.
No, and I don't disagree with you. I think I'm a little stunned because nothing leading up to that led me to believe that was going to happen next.
And it wasn't like it was a good hook, but it didn't look like it was going to blow his head off.
He got it. It looked like it hit him in the temple, and that's a lights out button.
Well, I was not ready for that. I mean, okay.
No, I was definitely kind of like looking around for a second. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. The doctor's in there now with poor Tyron, seeing how he's doing, seeing if the no sale signs are in his eyes. All right.
Is there a reschedule date for his Fury match?
I mean, Robert Winfrey currently rolling around in the briar patch, just laughing up a storm.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
So anyway, no, nothing has been secured yet, but I would imagine. So here's the thing. I'm 50% they'll reschedule that fight for first quarter of next year. I suspect Jake Paul tries to get back in the I gotta put this up from our friend here on Twitch. And that, folks, is Tyron Woodley.
God, I hope he takes up some sort of religion after this because he needs to pray to somebody.
I am 50% he takes the fight if they can get it nailed down with Tommy Fury in the first quarter of next year. I don't think he took a significant amount of damage in this fight to where he needs to wait longer than, say, March.
No.
I'm also 50% that I think he's given Tommy Fury at least 2 other opportunities to fight with him, this being the second one. And this keeps happening, and how many times does he have to do this before before he moves on with his life? So I'd be curious to see what you think.
I agree with that. I mean, I think as we kind of talked off the top, though. Okay, so we got the knockdown, got the knockout. That's good. Listen, if he wants to be pro boxer, that's where he's at. But like, okay, the next step
that was
is
right on the jaw, by the way. Did you
fight
see the
some pro boxers.
No,
okay.
Yes, I 100%. Okay, here it comes again. So he just loads up that hook.
Okay.
Doesn't set it up or anything.
Punch.
He just sort of, he just put a big bullet in the gun and fired it. And Tyron Woodley had no defense to block it. Or evade. Yeah, that almost looks like a Hollywood punch.
I mean,
boom. Yeah, Tyron dropped his left himself wide open there, and boom, took it right at the jawline.
That's the decision of a guy who's not a boxer, right? That's the decision of a guy who's like, okay, a kidney shot's going to suck, but a headshot's going to suck more. Keep my guard up.
Robert Winfrey weighing in, he says, partially set up by body work. Watch Woodley's left hand. He drops it thinking the right is going to be the body. Incredibly basic setup. Yep, and that's what I said. He dropped his arm and left himself wide open.
But geez, man, like take the body shot. Come on, bye.
All right. So as we close up here, and folks, if you've got anything you want to add, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about, if not Tommy Fury, then who? I'm happy to entertain for the moment. But while we do that, let's go ahead and take care of some business here. Yes,
I'm sure you're going to challenge Manny Pacquiao.
Jake said, I will watch any fight where Jake takes on, some sort of superior opponent in a real fight just for the giggles it will provide me. Here's what we need to do. We need to get Jake Paul like a high caliber opponent and have it do a double header with Mike Tyson and Logan Paul.
Oh
my God. The Paul brothers in sort of ridiculous circus fight. That sells out a stadium, don't you think?
In a second, that's a 15-second sellout, and the scalpers are loving their life.
Yeah, for sure. Get that in the Georgia Dome.
I'm unclear on what Tyron Woodley's mom was trying to do to him in there. It was almost like she's trying to cleanse his spirit animal or something.
All right. So I think this is the last fight that we're covering for the year. Robert Winfrey and I have talked possibly sort of doing the one Christmas Day, Vito Malinki versus Nicholas DeLomba. That's on Fox, and that's only if neither one of us has anything to do. If the Christmas festivities have died down by the time that goes to air on Fox from PBC, we might do it. Other than that, probably not. January has not got a tremendous amount of boxing. January 1st is WWE Day 1. I will be watching that and not the pay-per-view with all the heavyweights because no. There's nothing on the 8th. The 15th is Joe Smith Jr. versus Callum Johnson, which I would have tried to cover on ESPN Plus. However, I will be away with my daughter for her birthday trip. So the 22nd, and that's what I was getting to. That 22nd, we're going to shift gears, you and I, Dan Lansby.
Oh, I'm here.
I wanted to get you on something, and we found something to get you on because I love heavyweights, even in mixed martial arts. So we're going to do the entire UFC 270 Ngannou versus Gane. I think I pronounced it right that time. Ngannou versus Gane UFC heavyweight title fight. The entire main card. We don't do the undercards. We just do the main card whenever I've done those because it's MMA. The main event could be over in a second. So look for that. The 29th, we're going to be doing the Podsmen are getting together and we're going to be doing our first ever WWE pay-per-view live stream. We are doing the entire 4+ hour Royal Rumble. God help us. Yup.
Put on your Depends. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to have a bottle to pee in. And then that gets us into February, and you and I can talk about what we want to do then. Between you and Robert and Pat, hopefully we'll have at least one live stream a week going on for boxing or wrestling. So, but I'm looking forward to doing the MMA thing with you. I hope that'll be fun for you.
Yeah, that'll be great. Featuring Jake Paul. It's going to be fantastic.
Yes, sir. In the meantime, like I said, last night was the Better Be fight. That's in the archive. Check that out if you enjoyed this. Robert Winfrey is always brilliant on commentary. It's worth listening to him. For Pat Mullen last week of the Lomachenko fight. He's very when Pat's on and Pat's excited about a fighter, it's very fun to listen to. For those of you that like stuff outside of the boxing, this week was a whole lot of Spider-Man content. We have Damn You Hollywood, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 re-air. We did a franchise review, comparison of all 3 Spider-Man, all 7 up to that point Spider-Man films. That was myself, Sean Comer, and Benjamin J. Colon. Jesse had a 4-part Spider-Verse source material with Benjamin J. Colon that started on Monday and ended on Thursday. We also reviewed West Side Story. Thought about bringing you on for that one, but I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to make it. I'm trying to find them because I know you're also into the musicals. That's part of what you do. So I'm trying to get you on one of those shows. I'll have to figure something out. Pat and I reviewed WrestleManias 11, 12, and 13. Al Sedano of the Resurrections, Warlock, and Thanos podcast came on to review Stargirl. We reviewed A Very Poppy Christmas in addition to a bunch of our other singles and EPs on the Metal Hammer of Doom. And then myself and Ronnie Adams reviewed the first 2 Kingsman movies in preparation for The King's Man. We had a re-air of one of like the 2nd or 3rd Long Road to Ruins we ever did from like 8 years ago, which was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And then just went up today, a re-airing of the 2016 review of The Secret Life of Pets, which is worth listening to that to hear Robert Winfrey go off on one of the critics and one of his epic rants. It's hilarious. Tomorrow it's myself and Jesse reviewing the Secret Service Kingsman comic that the movies were based on. And then as soon as I get home from seeing Nightmare Alley, myself and Harry Broadhurst will be reviewing Ring of Honor Final Battle and Beyond Wrestling Fet Forever. Then we've got reviews this week of Nightmare Alley, Spider-Man No Way Home, a special Christmas triple feature of Fat Man, The Ref, and In Bruges. And then finally, our Christmas shows, we've got a review of Brian Posehn's The Last Christmas, Christmas trivia that myself, Jason Teasley, his lovely wife, and David Wright were on, and our re-airing of our Heavy Saurus Raihalista Jula Christmas album. If you've got kids, play them some Heavy Saurus. It's heavy metal for children. Fantastic. All right, go ahead.
When do you sleep, man?
I don't.
Like, I'm here in the middle of the night, but like, at least I go to bed at some point.
I work it in while I'm at. Well, you know, I try to get it in between patients at work.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe you got one of those things where you just like automatic write while you're asleep. You're just automatic podcasting.
I podcast in my sleep. All right. So yeah, I'm at Mark Radulich on Twitter. You can also find me on all my various Facebook pages, Radulich Broadcasting, History of Boxing, W2M. The website's w2mnet.com. If you enjoyed this, if you caught us on YouTube, please subscribe. If you heard this on traditional audio, especially Apple Podcasts, again, try to leave us a rating. We're trying to get on Rotten Tomatoes, and those are the 2 ways to do it that we haven't been able to do yet. All right, go ahead and do your plugs, and let's get out of here.
Oh, I'm cooling down for Christmas, but I'm not doing too much. But in the new year, I'm taking a tour of a musical about curling called Second Shot on a tour across Newfoundland. And then hopefully we'll get a good recording of that on the way up so that we can also post it up for Best Kind Productions, which is a local company that we're working on, to see if we can't put it up and get it to a little bit of wider audience that way.
All right. Well, Dan, we'll see you in January for the UFC 270. Hey, everyone that joined us on Facebook or Twitch or Twitter, thank you. Special thanks to Jay Royce and Robert Winfrey for all your great comments. We'll do this again soon. Until then, be well, be safe, and behave.